This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm joined by Frank Smith here at, well, I don't know exactly how to word it. It's a bar. It's a brewery indeed. Frank, how are you doing?
I'm good. I've had a couple of beers, and yeah, the sun's going down. Lovely evening in Fresno.
So Frank, if I time this poorly, if you'd had a couple more beers, do you think I might have got a bit more out of you?
Probably, yeah. I'm just at that limit now where I can answer questions and remember what I said.
So what I'll do is when we finish this, we'll go get a couple more beers for you and we'll redo it and I'll say how it didn't work. Well, obviously it's just the night before the return of Mikey Garcia. He hasn't fought since Jesse Vargas back in February 2020. How has Mikey looked to you throughout this week, Frank?
Yeah, good, really good, but he's had, as you say there, 18 months out of the ring nearly. And Sandor Martin's coming in there with an opportunity that can change his life. So he's going to go in there, give it his all. But we've seen what Mikey's done in his career. I think the fact that he's still got that hunger to keep on going and keep on building and obtain more titles, more world championships, is you got to commend him for that. Four-weight world champion and to go on from here. But Sandor Martin's come in and it's, like I say, it's his opportunity to change everything. So it's going to be a great fight. Despite
the long layoff between fights, how important is it for Mikey that he's not just successful, obviously, but he looks good tomorrow night? Because we've spoken about that Prograis fight. He'd love a crack at Josh Taylor to get revenge for Jose Ramirez. How important is it that he does put on a show tomorrow night?
Yeah, he's got to look good. He's got to look good. And, again, you go back to what he's done in his career so far. You can't see any reason why he shouldn't. But, every fight, you don't know what things are going to throw up, especially with 18 months out of the ring. He's obviously had that long period out before. I think he had about 2.5 years out before with the whole top rank situation previously. So I think he's always in the gym, he's always training, so hopefully we shouldn't see anything different with him. And he can move on from here into those big fights you mentioned there.
I just want to touch on a couple of fights on the card. We never had a chance to do so yesterday. I'm always excited to see Diego Pacheco return because I am a fan of his. I think he's a very talented fighter, a lot of potential. Another undefeated opponent going in against him though. How difficult of a step up do you feel this is for Diego?
Yeah, I think, but these guys and all the guys we signed that 3.5 years back now, when we launched here, this is a time where they need to take these step-up fights, and this is going to show, ultimately if he's got the ability to move on from here. So I think it's good. I think it's what he needs because there's only so much you can learn from going in there and blowing people away, and this is going to be a good step-up fight for him, and hopefully goes in there, gets the win, and moves on from here. He's not far off from 10 rounds, fighting for title fights.
Mark Castro, a bit of a hometown hero here from what we've seen so far, being mobbed by fans for photos tonight. How important for he himself is that he puts on a show in front of his hometown faithful, and I'm sure down the line you'd love to come back here, put on a show with him headlining. Yeah,
first time he's boxed here as a professional, and really excited to see what he brings. And he's got a huge audience coming out, as 8,000 people expected tomorrow night, and it would be great to do his first. You can imagine doing his first world title fight here in that baseball stadium. We could have 15,000, 20,000 people in there. So, it's exciting for him. He's a big star, big opportunities ahead of him. So, he's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders tomorrow because a lot of people are here to see him. So go out there, get the win and move on from there.
Now moving away from this card onto a couple of other matters, Frank. Devin Haney, we obviously did an interview yesterday waiting for an update as to what could happen next for him. Today we found the news that Ryan Garcia's had to pull out of his bout with Haney-Diaz. Are you expecting the WBC to order Haney versus Diaz now?
I don't know whether it's ultimately I should have done it with both of them in the first place. Ryan Garcia should have boxed Devin Haney and Diaz should have boxed Devin Haney, but it is what it is. We are where we are, and I think our aim is to try and make the biggest fight for Devin Haney possible, and Haney-Diaz is definitely one we want to try and make happen. It's a great fight, and one thing I'll say about Devin, he'll fight anyone. He doesn't want easy touches, he doesn't want to go in there and just have a warm-up fight. He wants the best fights. So, hopefully we can make that happen. Best wishes to Ryan Garcia. Hopefully he's back up and back fit and up and running soon. And that's another fight for next year for Devin Haney. It's a massive fight there. So, but yeah, let's try and work on Haney-Diaz, get that fight over the line. Big win for Devin Haney and then Ryan Garcia next year.
Is the Diaz fight the one you want most now if you look at the list of names of who's available?
Yeah, I think if you look at who's available, you look at Teofimo Lopez is obviously fighting George Kambosos. You look at Vasil Lomachenko is going to fight Commey. So I think he's the best opportunity out there for him. Maxi Hughes was another name we were looking at, who's the IBO world champion, but Haney-Diaz is a name would be a great fight to make.
moving on once again, obviously picking up the Teofimo Lopez, George Kambosos fight, Frank. Never had a chance to touch on with you or Eddie yesterday. I was going to get your take on that entire situation though, with Triller and with the fight ending up on a Matchroom and DAZN show.
Look, great for us. We wanted the fight in the first place, hence why we bid for it. All a bit of a mess from Triller, but we won't go into too much detail on that front. But we're very happy to be involved in that fight. It's a fight we wanted. I think the purse bids were back in February. I remember it was when we were doing the Canelo Yildirim fight was the purse bids. And no, look, we're very excited. It's great to have Teofimo Lopez on the DAZN platform and George Kambosos, who fought Lee Selby in the final eliminator. I think it's going to be a good fight and a good fight for Teofimo. Long time out of the ring for both of them now, but hopefully we can get that up and running soon.
Frank, David Avanesian, we saw Frank Warren's comments that he made an offer to Matchroom to try and make the Avanesian Ben fight. Can you just open up on that a little bit to me?
Yeah, I think Eddie's commented on it as well already. The offer has to be much more for Conor Benn. Conor Benn's a huge star, and look, it's another one of those, a bit like when they released 11 fights. It was 11 fights that made sense for Frank Warren, who needs opportunities for his fighters. We've got good opportunities for Conor Benn. There's a good lineup of fights there for him. So, we're focusing on on his career, his path, and what makes sense for him. And that's maybe a fight we'll see down the line.
Were you guys interested at all in trying to sign, or did you attempt to sign David Avanesian yourselves to a long-term promotional deal?
We had David Avanesian. Obviously we worked with him. He fought an show in Barcelona back in. I'm trying to think when it was. It was prior to the Josh Kelly fight, whether it was 2019, I think it was 2019 originally. So that's the point when he signed with us. Then we had the delays with the Josh Kelly fight. We did the Josh Kelly fight. So, it was a great win for him. When he beat Josh Kelly that night. Obviously, Box on the Boxer platform now jumping over to Frank Warren. It's a good signing for Frank Warren. It's a good signing for him to get him away from Boxer, who I think announced he had a multi-fight deal with Boxer, which surprised me. But great for Frank Warren.
Have you got an update on Michael Conlon and Lee Wood at all, Frank?
First bid's on Monday currently, I believe. Yeah, so that's coming up on Monday.
Once again, moving backwards rather, obviously a terrific win for Liam Smith against Anthony Fowler last weekend. Straight away, Jesse Vargas over social media, saying it's a good thing you was able to manage those first few rounds. Is that a fight you guys are still interested in making, Jesse Vargas and Liam Smith?
Yeah, look, great performance firstly by Liam Smith in that fight, and as well Anthony Fowler, who took the step up, and there's many more opportunities for him. Jesse Vargas is definitely a fight we want to look at making for Liam Smith. It's been spoken about for a long time, and coming off the back of that fight in Liverpool, I think it's going to be a war. So yeah, we're focused on making that fight happen.
Just to touch on a bit of heavyweight talk, as always, Frank, we know that obviously AJ's made good of his rematch clause on the back of obviously Fury's win. I spoke to Bob Arum last week, and he said that if Tyson was to be successful, why not make Fury Usyk, AJ just step aside and face the winner? Was that something you guys had ever considered to try and draw up a deal with? Or?
Makes sense for Bob Arum, doesn't it? Obviously. I think Deontay Wilder didn't step aside from his rematch with Tyson Fury, did he? So AJ is 100% committed in going in there and getting the win against Alexander Usyk. Regaining his titles and then going on to fulfill his goal of becoming the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. So his focus is to go back in there, have that fight, and then let's go from there. And in the meantime, Tyson Fury can fight Dillian Whyte, can't he? And let's see that, because that's another fight everyone wants to see. It's a great time for heavyweight boxing. It gives us another year, 2 years of huge fights. Whether that is Joshua against Usyk and Fury against Dillian Whyte, and then with 2 undisputed fights after that. It's great. It's what everyone wants.
On the back of AJ's defeat at Usyk, how big would a fight still be between Tyson and Anthony if AJ was to reverse the result and be successful in a rematch?
It's massive. Look, Anthony Joshua, and I'll probably get stick for this, is the biggest star out of all those guys in heavyweight boxing. The man has sold out stadiums time and time again, has broken pay-per-view records. He's the biggest name there is. Yes, Tyson Fury right now is number 1 in heavyweight boxing because of his wins. But Anthony Joshua is the biggest star. So that is still the biggest fight. And, people can complain about that and say, no, Tyson Fury fanboys. And respect to him. I'm not taking anything away from Tyson Fury. But Anthony will go in there, he will go back, he will get his belts back, and then we'll do the fight we were all talking about. So it's a great time for heavyweight boxing, and that's the thing with heavyweights. They can all beat each other. That's the truth. All of them, the best of the best, can all beat each other, and that's great. That's what we want from this sport. So, you know, I don't think it makes it any smaller. It only makes it bigger. Asia goes back in there, regains his belts. That makes him an even bigger star. Makes the undisputed fight even bigger.
Frank, final one. Eddie's been catching up with his best mate Canelo Alvarez today. How's he getting on?
Yeah, good. I spoke to him earlier. He said he's had a good trip out there. He's coming back for the show tomorrow. You know, Canelo's obviously in great shape ahead of the Caleb Plant fight. Goes in there, becomes undisputed champion, and then we've got lots of plans, you know, to work with him. We've had a great relationship with him. I think he's worked for both sides, and you know, Eddie's spent some good time with him there today. So all good.
Frank, a couple of beers down, but you've handled this interview very well.
Am I right? You happy with it?
I'm all right.
Good. Maybe I'll watch it back and be like, you look a bit pissed there. So.
All right, Frank, I appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of your night. Thanks for speaking to Boxing Social.
Thanks, mate. Good to see you.